We wanted to make sure that we, talked a little bit about this because it's been like an ongoing trend. Let's put this up there on the screen, guys. So right now, the June 5th episode of the Jordan Peterson podcast, which is hosted by the Daily Wire, called "Rekindling the Spirit of the Classic Democrat," episode 363, has actually been taken off of YouTube. The entire 95-minute podcast. Now, RFK Jr. put this out there. Obviously, since we post our show on YouTube, we're not going to play the clip. But if you are interested in watching it, it is on Twitter. You can go, we'll put a link in the description. You can go watch it for yourself. And so what they say is, should social media platforms censor presidential candidates? My conversation with Jordan Peterson, it was deleted by YouTube. Luckily, you can watch it here on Twitter. What's really troubling about this is that they didn't actually list a reason as to why it was taken off. There's some skepticism, and there is some... how would I say? There is some theorizing that it might have been something he was talking about with regard to environmental contaminants in water and possibly having an effect on sex change and gender identity. I don't know enough about the issue to be able to comment on it.
Oh, the atrazine stuff?
It's like something about it. Look,
sometimes he goes around the bend.
Listen, and okay, I've known a lot of people on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people go around the bend on YouTube. And what I don't understand is the capricious nature in the way that they're handling this. Because, for example, we've interviewed the man twice. He said multiple. Our videos were never taken down off of YouTube. Whenever he was on our show, he said things similarly. Whenever he was on past podcasts as well, there's a very strange way that they have decided to go back and retroactively police the content. So, for example, there was a episode of the Theo Von podcast from 2020 that was also taken down off you, but it was taken down now. It was taken down recently. And in it, I haven't even watched the full thing. Again, there's no reason given whenever these things are taken down. They just say it's a violation of content policy. And Ryan, you and I, we have both been outspoken against this issue because we cover these issues for a living and we know how blurry the line gets. So, maybe you can tell people about when you were over at Rising, the ridiculous standard that was imposed on your channel, which we have fought against vigorously here for that standard, specifically because of what happened to you.
And Emily was on that day, too.
Yeah.
It was me, Emily, and Robbie Suave.
Yeah.
And we were talking about an interview that Trump had given, maybe it was with Brett Baer, again, one of his... And he said something like, Putin never wouldn't have invaded if not for the rigged election.
Yeah.
And then we went on,
whatever.
And then we made fun of Trump. I called him a maniac. And then we debated the point.
Yeah.
Would Putin have invaded if Trump had won re-election? But what we didn't do is go back and say, dear YouTube censors and dear audience, even though Trump said there was a rigged election in 2020, in fact, it was not rigged, and he lost fair and square. And that whole thing to me is so funny because it's who is the person out there who is going to be influenced by hearing Trump say it was a rigged election? And they're like, oh, it's a rigged election. And then Ryan Grimm gets on YouTube and says, in fact, it was not stolen. And they're like, oh, I was about to believe Trump. But now that Ryan says that it wasn't stolen. So they nuked the channel for a week.
Yeah, for a week.
Took the whole channel down. And the channel was salted. They salted the earth of that channel. It was doing numbers that were around 1 million a day.
Yeah.
And then when it came back a week later, 200, 300.
Wow, yeah, when we left, that's about what it was doing. But, and look, we always had the same issue. I told them multiple times to your face, I said, this is a ridiculous policy. How are we supposed to cover the news? If Biden says something crazy, which he does all the time, you know what we do? We play the clip. That's it. You play the clip, we can talk about it. But under what obligation am I to, quote unquote, fact check everything that the man says, or Trump, or any politician? I have enough trust in the people who watch and who listen to this show for them to make up their minds for themselves. And yeah, if you think that the election was stolen at this point, nothing I say is going to have any impact on you.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, thank you, Ryan. Actually, they did repeal the policy. Luckily.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we applauded that. Thank you, YouTube, actually, for listening to us and for so many other creators who told you how stupid this was. I've been outspoken about it. We talked about it on the Rogan pod. I talk about it every chance I can because if you think about this too, it's a huge advantage for cable news because they don't have censors.
Right.
They don't don't have any. I mean, technically, I guess the FCC, but like that's not not really the same.
They're not coming
Especially
in
when you're on cable news, not on network television. You can basically say everything you want. It's more advertiser pressure, which is its whole private censorship. But nobody's going to take your channel off the air, for having an interview or something like that with RFK Jr. So look, I mean, the entire policy is ludicrous and capricious. They continue to do this to his candidacy. And of course, what's happening? It's a Streisand effect. More and more people are hearing about him. They're like, hey, what is the censorship? Jordan Peterson, that clip. Let me go ahead and take a look here. How many views now does the clip have after it has gone ahead and been tweeted? Yeah, I mean, look, 4.3 million. Yeah, 4.3 million views now. Now, of course, look, 4.3 million Twitter views doesn't mean 4.3 million watched it, but I can guarantee you a hell of a lot of people are going to watch it. And yeah, well, I'm sitting here talking about it. Probably wouldn't have talked about it otherwise if they hadn't done it. So look, Americans aren't dumb. And other tech companies, I never thought I'd be in this position. Facebook, Instagram, they reinstated RFK Jr.'s Instagram account, even though they said that he had violated their policies, because they're like, yeah, he's an active candidate for president. Like, we can't be in this business of trying to censor these things.
And just like people should know what Trump is saying about the election.
Yes.
People should know what RFK Jr. is saying about different things. You had a case yesterday where on Rogan, he was talking about how Wi-Fi is causing all sorts of problems, et cetera. Without wading into the details of it, I saw some, very blue no matter who partisan Democrats clipping and sharing him, RFK Jr., talking about how Wi-Fi and the blood-brain barrier and all
they
this
were
stuff.
using as a pretext not vote for him.
Right.
And that's fine.
They're saying, look at this. Look what he says. It's so absurd. You should not consider this a serious person. You shouldn't. But what if you weren't allowed to share that? Then how would those people be able to make their case against him?
Exactly right. I mean, we've made this point a million times. I tried to tell this to YouTube, which was like, hey guys, the number one thing of why people hate Trump, especially in the midterms, was stop the steal. So wouldn't you, if let's say you hate Trump, you should be playing him saying the election was stolen all day long.
Like
it drives
Democrats
people crazy. Yeah, that's what Democrats do.
Yeah.
What do you think they're playing on cable TV? So look, anyway, it's a very foolish, a very stupid policy. And I mean, look, I guess we're always on the lookout. Maybe they'll nuke our interview with him. Luckily, we have backups that are available. But, this isn't going to deter people from interviewing, nor should it, really. It's in the public interest to get this stuff out there.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.